what I've found to be unique with hunting is that you have to is the ability to recover really quickly from a really crappy day and then be ready to do it again and again and again.
If you don't do the low intensity aerobic work, first of all, like everything you do is just going to cost you more. So your heart rate's going to jump more. Like that march up the hill is going to get you worse. And then on the back end of that, your aerobic system is your recovery system. So if you don't have that foundation built, you just won't recover like you should, and you won't have the ability to go from day to day to day to day, because you just won't have the juice to do it.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Good to have you here on this. Actually a little bit warmer here in Michigan today than the last time we've been recording. It's been frigid cold, but now it's like 36 and feels like summer out. So I'm in a t-shirt in my house, bare feet. It feels pretty good. I got Todd Bumgardner here. Todd, you're calling in from a warmer place than Michigan.
I am, James. James, nice to see me, by the way. I mean, you, right, of course. It's California. I'm in California, and I feel like I'm actually getting cheated out of winter this year. It's my first winter here, and I'm from Pennsylvania, so I like winter, but I'm not getting one. It's been a little cold. I got stuck at Lake Tahoe on the way back from hunting chuckers in Nevada, and there was a bunch of snow, and so I think I got all my winter at once.
Yeah, you just need like one good snow, and then you're good. You moved.
Yeah.
Wait, you moved recently, I saw.
So I completely moved at the end of September of last year of 2024. So started the process in July and then finished it up at the end of September.
That is like about as an extreme of a move as you can do, like from one basic coast to the other.
Yeah, it was. If I never drive on Interstate 80 again, that'd be cool. I'd be all right with that. I mean, I know I'm gonna have to, but man, I nearly lost my mind a few times. I did it back and forth 3 times. So
holy cow, because you got to get all your crap over there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
We
did wild. 1 year. So we're in Michigan. So you cut down, you hit it, and we hit it and went all the way east to New Jersey, and in the same year we went west to California. So there's a 1 year where we almost did the whole stretch.
You got about all of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we went to the end, both ends. I think there was a part in the middle somewhere like in the Indiana area or Ohio that we kind of went around, skirted a little bit, but basically
there's 2 places to skirt. That's it.
Yeah, the armpit of America and the butthole of America. It's hard to tell which is which.
They're real close to each other.
Yeah, weirdly. Well, you've been on the podcast before, but like for people who are new to the show, who are new to all this, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, so Todd Bumgardner. I hail from Pennsylvania, and I grew up hunting there, and I am a career strength and conditioning coach. That's what I've done to pay my bills since I've been an adult. I spent 8 years with a Tier 1 unit. I own a gym back in Virginia still, and I am the founder and head coach of Human Predator Packmule, which is an online hunting training service for backcountry and mountain hunters.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of the Human Predator Packmule. I've been doing it for 2 years, I think. I'm on 2 years now.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, always in the fall, I definitely dial it back just because we're traveling and hunting and stuff. Sure. But I'm still at least twice a week doing it. Although
awesome.
I will.
I'm happy to hear that.
What's that?
I'm just happy to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to let you down. Every time I'm doing it, I'm not working out and I'm on a day, like I picture you and like disappointed.
Yeah.
It's motivating.
The best thing you could do is I'll take a disappointed selfie for you, and I want you to hang it in your garage.
Yeah.
Just blow it up and just put it just like, God, he is watching.
This episode is brought to you by 2O Gear, innovators in technical hunting clothing. 2O is a newer company. It's based right here in Michigan, and whether you're hunting elk in the mountains or chasing antelope in the plains or traipsing through swamps after that ruddy buck, 2O has you covered with premium jackets and pants, merino wool layers, everything you could possibly need to stay comfortable in the woods. Their products are engineered for functionality and durability, ensuring you stay protected in any conditions. Plus, their camo is really effective. We're big fans. So don't take our word for it, though. Go to 2ogear.com and check it out. He is watching. He knows. He can see my app usage, and he'll message me.
That's
And no, I mean I've done it for a while, and what I've really liked about it, aside from there's I mean really great strength and conditioning stuff, but the mobility stuff that you put in has made a huge difference in my life. I've been a very tight like person, like my back, lower back, hamstrings, kind of hips, and when I am faithful in my Human Predator Packmule exercises and I do everything, I don't have any trouble.
yeah,
It's when I don't, or when I go from one thing. For anybody who's not ever done it, you'll say, hey, if you're going on a hunt, when you come back, like take a few days, kind of get your body back into it. And the times that I've gotten hurt or like hurt myself was the times that I've tried to come right back, exercise a whole bunch. Like I just got back from a bison hunt. It's like 30 some hours of driving combined. Then I shoveled the driveway, and then I tried to do front squats, and I pulled a muscle in my back. And it was like
yeah.
I knew the whole time what I should do. I just don't like that I have to not go like jump right in balls to the wall again.
Yeah, I mean that's the curse of being a motivated and a person and an achiever, right? Is we just want to be able to do the thing that we know we want to be able to do all the times, but it's all stress, right? So the driving is stress, the shoveling, the driveway is stress, and it's your body just sees stress. And if you've been sitting for 30 hours, like you probably need to do some things just to get your back to normal before you start to load it again, you know?
Yeah. And, I feel like when I was 18, I didn't have to worry about that. I could do that. I could lift hard
Yeah.
every day. And I'm 36 now. And,
Oh,
you
30,
heal slow.
you don't look a day over 35, you know?
Good. Thank you. If you can see, I got some gray chin hairs. And my hair up top is getting kind of gray. But no, it's just like the recovery it's gotten to a point where I've realized that I've had to take just that kind of thing seriously, more seriously than I have in the past. And even in my 20s, it's like, yeah, whatever. I'm tight in my hamstrings. I've always been that way. No big deal. Until you start having problems, that led for me to plantar fasciitis, tightness in certain places, and back pain, and all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, the thing is and it's normal for most people is you don't really start to pay attention until something gets taken away from you, right? Like you don't care about, your potential back problems or anything like that until it slows you down, or you gotta, like you can't do something, and then you're like, or you start to realize that. I mean, it takes until you're about 30 to realize that you're not invincible. Your brain's not wired in enough for you to realize, like, nah, bad things can happen, and I have to do what I can to prevent them.
Yeah, you just got to be smarter, and it's like you're supposed to grow smarter as you grow older, and that I'm a slow learner in that way, I think. Well, like I said at the beginning, it's January 28 right now. So I want to run some stats by you. New Year's
Go for it.
resolutions, right? So we're coming off 28 days off of when people set New Year's resolutions. And so got some background. New Year's resolutions dates back 4,000 years ago.
Oh
Babylonians were
wow.
making them, right? Yeah. New Year's, New Year, New You. That phrase translated directly from Babylonian languages. 50% of Americans set these goals. 79% of those are about health, which sounds about right. 50 are exercise specific, and 62% make a goal, make a New Year's resolution because they feel pressured by other people. So a lot of people making them. 90% of people fail in the year with their New Year's resolution, no matter what it is. 50%, roughly 50% before the end of the month. So much so that the second Friday of January is known as Quitter's Day now, which is just depressing. I hate that that's a thing. It makes me like upset. You write, if anybody has ever subscribed to your newsletter, see your posts on Instagram, social media, you talk about motivation a lot. You talk about sticking to goals. So I guess I'm going to ask you the big question: why do people fail when it comes to this kind of thing?
Oh, they don't really want to do it. It's the easiest thing to say. And you said the pressure that people get from external pressures that people feel like they should set some kind of resolution. Well, people put the same pressure on themselves, and they say that they should do this. when really they don't actually want to do that. And you really can't coerce yourself into doing things. Um, and I think and people expect motivation to last when they feel like maybe this pulse of it at the beginning of a new year. And then you kind of combine those things and you have like the perfect recipe for failure, because that motivation is going to fail. And what was just a nice idea and not truly a goal or anything that people want to do, to just set up for failure.
OnX is the title sponsor of our podcast here at the Fair Chase, and it's a must-have app for all of us who love to explore the outdoors. Whether you're hunting or hiking or fly fishing, OnX gives you detailed, accurate maps right at your fingertips. With property boundaries, topographical features, and trail data, you'll always know where you are and where you're headed. You'll also likely be able to figure out where that big buck is headed to. Plus, their offline maps mean you're covered even in the most remote locations. OnX is the ultimate tool for outdoor navigation, making every adventure safer and more enjoyable. Download OnX today and explore with confidence.
On top of that, I think one of the things that happens is people set goals that they don't have the skill to achieve, and they think too far down the path. And so, I think one of the things that really will be more beneficial for people is to focus on process goals, which would be something that you're going to do rather than an outcome you're going to achieve, or focus on habits. And having a big commitment and really understanding your values, I think would be one of the biggest things too, and setting them in your own language. And so once you understand like a true commitment that you have and a value that might support it, that's how you can actually start to change your behavior, because it comes back to your identity rather than this externalized thing. So it comes from internal rather than something external, or a should that you give to yourself. It's someone you want to be. And if you really value that, then you're going to do the thing regardless of how you feel. But if you don't actually have values and true commitments set, then it's very tough to stick by that. And as your motivation wanes, then you're just not going to do the shit that you said that you wanted to do.
I love the identity part to that. Identity has been something like a thing I've spent the last maybe almost 2 years kind of working through what identity is, engaging with this guy, reading his books and listening to his talks named Jamie Winship that talks a lot about identity and who you are. And actually got talking to a guy from my church 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me he's a big smoker and tried everything to quit. And what he mentioned as the biggest thing that helped him quit, and he's I forgot how far off of smoking he is, but identity. He's like telling, I'm not a smoker.
Mm.
I'm not a smoker. And so as a not a smoker, I don't smoke. So me smoking, that's not who I don't do that.
Absolutely.
And he's like that switch has been a huge deal in just kind of reframing how you think about yourself and whatever you're doing.
That is a reframe. That's a really great way to put it. Yeah. And you think that I'm the kind of person that does X. You know what I mean? So one of the examples, there's a couple things there. So it's also who you surround yourself with. So like you saying about being at your church is important. I got two things. I'll handle that first. So like if you don't have, so like let's say that you set this goal, right? Whatever it might be, and it feels important to you. If you don't have the environment to help you support that goal, it's the likelihood that you will achieve it is poor, right? So for example, let's say that you or someone sets a goal to lose weight. We'll just arbitrarily pick that goal. If their spouse isn't in support of it and doesn't help them create the environment that's going to help them do it, they're likely going to fail. Because first of all, you don't want to lose the connection with your spouse. And if you transform and your spouse isn't willing to transform, they're going to try to pull you back, and not consciously. And it's not because they don't love you, but it's because then they'd have to shift their identity.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot to people. And so environment and who you're surrounded with is going to be a lot of that piece. But one of the other things that I've written about recently is I was supposed to do one of the workouts from December, which was a squat workout, and I came in and I just didn't feel like doing it. There was nothing wrong. I was recovered. Like I didn't have any stressors that I couldn't account for. Just didn't feel like doing it. And I remember two things. The first thing is I remembered a commitment that I made. And so I committed to go to the Northwest Territories in August to hunt Dall sheep with my friend Rabita. And it's her tag. I'm just going along to make sure the grizzly bear doesn't eat her, and to like carry stuff and be a pack mule, honestly,
Yeah.
and take pictures. And so I committed to that. And one of the things that she said to me is that you are the only person I trust, only friend I trust to do this with.
Huh.
That's got some weight to it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then the other thing is a value that I've written for myself is to create excess. And what that means to me is to create the mental and physical resources so I always have excess so people can count on me when the chips are down. Well, if I skip my squats just because I don't feel like doing them, like I'm completely negating that value and I'm setting myself up to not live out the person that I want to be and
Yeah.
fail on a commitment that I've made to somebody that I care about.
Yeah, it's incredible. And it's just an interesting way to think about that. You know, something else you mentioned that kind of stuck out with me is the process versus the outcome.
Yeah,
I feel like at least that's something that I fall into a lot. And I think of that as reading growing up.
sure.
School kind of got me into the mindset of like, I read a book to check off, well, there's another book. I can have my shelf of books that I've all read. I don't really, it's so hard to do it when you're just like, I just want to check out books. Cause then you look at your shelf and there's not a book on there. And it's like, I have so far to go. It's just like, instead it's like, if you just do, the one day at a time and enjoy what you're doing, the book, for example, that you're reading, all of a sudden things start to stack up. And great, my daughter is a great example of it. She loves to read. She has a wall of books that she's read, and my house is truly dedicated to a wall to it. And she never set out to
That's
read.
beautiful.
Yeah, right. She never set out to read all those books. It's just she likes to read, and I see that a lot, and I think about that a lot in the day. It's like she didn't set out to I want to fill a wall of books. It's like I just like to read, and I read anytime, and suddenly there's just a bunch of books in the wall, and I guess that's cool too.
Yeah, well, there's two things there. I mean, first, there you foster the environment, right? And when the environment is set up for success, it makes it easier. And the second thing is, and I think we forget this as adults, and I think sometimes we try to push it on younger people too, is that we forget that we're allowed to enjoy the things that we're
Yeah,
doing, and even the things that we want to achieve, they're allowed to be fun. Now, there's certain times that you have to do some drudgery, like there's no way to get around that, but like as part of a process you might enjoy or injecting it with some kind of fun is an important thing to do. And I think that we look at these things like I should lose 20 pounds or I should do this. And it's like, well, okay, so what is that attached to? Because if it's just because you want to lose 20 pounds, like, okay. But if it's because you take care of your health, you'll be able to dance with your daughter at her wedding in however many years that is. And you can look forward to that and you realize that your habits have to align with that. That's something. But if
yeah,
it's just like, I should lose 20 pounds, or like it's because you're just a little bit unhappy with how you look, unless we come back to what we talked about. One of the other things, when people set their values and they make a serious commitment, those are the things that in my career I've seen help people change. The other thing is somebody getting the shit scared out of them, like
Hmm.
going to the doctor and then being like, dude, you got to make a change, or like you're legitimately in trouble.
Yeah,
And so until people have something taken from them or a serious scare, or they make real commitments and define what their values are to them, people don't change. And that's why you see such a high failure rate with resolutions. Because first, people just don't care about them. They don't
yeah.
actually care.
It's funny the way that you frame things and how powerful your mind and your feelings are
For
when it
sure.
comes. My wife and I talk about this a lot. Like how much of your life is dictated by how you feel, rather than like what you know to be true. And it, I mean, what I found is eventually, if you work out, you get in a good rhythm of working out. You're doing it a lot. You actually do feel like working out. Eventually, you get
For
there.
sure.
But if you go based on feeling, especially when it's cold out, and I work out in my garage, except for I think 2 days a week, I'm at a gym, like maybe 2 days a week, one maybe. That means it's uncomfortable and cold, and it kind of sucks to be in there. And so if it's like I don't feel like it, man, then I will stay inside. I'll watch Netflix on the couch, and you know whatever happens, my back will tighten up, my legs, and I'll be kind of a mess after a while. Um,
Yeah.
all right, so we've laid down the foundation that you need to work out. It's important. And
Yeah, oh,
here's
sure,
how.
of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But this is a hunting podcast. And one thing that I found very interesting about your training program and kind of the things you focus on is that it's a little bit unique. To hunters have a unique set of physical needs when it comes to training and it comes to being ready for whatever type of hunt, especially if it's a backcountry type deal. So
sure.
I know your background. You've trained athletes and people in the military and just all sorts of high end physical specimens. What's the difference between like a hunter and like a professional athlete in terms of like the things that they need to train?
Well, I mean, specificity is a big part of it. Also, like um, with the goal with professional athletes, a lot of the times is just to not mess them up, because they already have everything that they need. You just have to make them resilient enough to get through the course of a season. Unless they're like a fringe guy and they really need to be able to improve their performance to stay in the game, which I've mostly worked with those kind of guys that are professional athletes. But really, it's just um, there's specificity to what they're doing. Um, and the biggest thing between them and regular people is they just adapt to things so much faster because they just have gifts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're able to adapt. But the biggest thing between hunters and most people is I always say that that hunting, mountain hunting, backcountry hunting, even if you want to like, I mean, look at it like track and deer, right? Like if you want to go, I don't know how much you do that. It looks like you do a fair amount of it in
Yeah.
Michigan, right?
It's a lot.
So
Yep.
yeah, and so I've done it once up in upstate New York. And if you read about how guys did that back in the day, like Larry Benoit, or how Blood does it and things like that, you're dragging that deer. Like you're gonna dog it, you're gonna run, and then it's gonna settle down. And once you finally get your shot, like it's not like, I mean, it depends on what you might do. I mean, most of those guys are gonna drag it out because they want to see how much it weighs, right? Because
Yeah. Right.
that's the thing. So I say that hunting in those kind of forms, in backcountry hunting, mountain hunting, stuff like that, is a strength endurance event. And so, really, what we need to train for is to have massive amounts of aerobic capacity, somewhat like an endurance athlete. But also, we need to be relatively strong, which means compared to our body weight. We don't want to put on a bunch of body weight. We don't want to be huge. Um, and then we need to have strength endurance within that, which means that we can use our strength over time for repeated efforts. And so those are the biggest outcomes that we want to create for hunters. And within that, we have to have movement efficiency. And so you talked about all of the mobility work and stuff that we do. The better your joints move, first of all, the easier it is to keep them healthy, and the more prepared they are for when something might happen. So it's like, this, and everybody that hunts that listens to this podcast know this. It's not if you trip or if you roll your ankle, it's when it's going to happen. And so we have to prepare our joints for that. But the better our joints move, the easier it is for us to save energy. Lower the energy cost, the more endurance you have. So we nip away at those things right up front. So if you move well and you're relatively strong, you already pull back your energy.
You there? Oh,
I took my headphones out. Hold on.
there it is. There it is. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
What the hell, dude? This is
All right, you got me?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yep.
Okay. Sorry, dude.
No problem. Yep,
All right,
we're good.
cool. So, man, where was I?
Joints. You're not if then, but when you roll your ankle.
Oh, so yeah, so we have to strength endurance, and then part of that is huge amounts of aerobic capacity, and that is training your aerobic system to be efficient and to do things over long periods of time. And so that's really what we focus on is strength endurance. We use specific methods of strength training to do that, and we do a lot of work to develop aerobic capacity because you can't shortcut that. There's nothing but just doing the work, and that's really all there is to it.
No, and it's so key. There's a couple things you mentioned. First of all, joint strength. I actually never thought about this until you just said it. But growing up, I sprained my ankle pretty bad a couple times, and what had happened was after that, I would roll it walking. I'd roll it anytime I'd have any uneven surface. I would just liable to go down. I've not rolled my ankle in at least a year.
Awesome.
So whatever ankle support is part of this program, I'm just giving you credit
Well,
for it.
I'll take it. I think sometimes there's a concept called proprioception. It's understanding where you are in space and where your body is in space, but also like at your joints. And if you're so I'll use an example. You have something in your brain called the homunculus, and it kind of tracks where different aspects of your nervous system are. And if you looked up at a Google picture of how it tracks things, like it's where you have a ton of nerve endings, right? So like your face, your hands, your feet, everything like that. One of the things that happens is if we jam our feet into shoes all the time and we never take our shoes off and we never train our feet, then those uh, those connections between our brain and our distal nerves weaken because your brain just sees it not as not important. The main goal of your brain is to keep you alive. And so if it sees something as a waste of energy, it just cuts it so we don't have to.
Right.
So we have to make sure that we train these things. So one of the things that could have happened is just like you're giving your ankles more attention so they seem more important and you just have more control there. So
Hmm.
you just don't trip and you don't roll your ankle as much, you know?
That is wild. No, I just never thought of that. So it's a beautiful thing because, dude, it wouldn't swell or wouldn't do anything, but it would hurt right away. It was just a bummer.
Yeah.
The other thing you mentioned though is for that I've noticed for hunting and taking people out, whether it be the backcountry or extended any types of hunts, that they might be like athletic people and be in good shape and they're good like day one. But what I've found to be unique with hunting is that you have to like is the ability to recover really quickly from a really crappy day and then be ready to do it again and again and again, a week straight. I feel like that seems somewhat unique to
Yeah.
hunting.
It is. I mean, unless you're doing some kind of, you're in the military and you have to do some kind of operation or something like that where you do gnarly shit and then have to recover and do it again.
Yeah.
For most people, they don't have to deal with that, and that's why the you can see them getting away with doing more high intensity work, and not as much low intensity aerobic work like we do. But if you don't do the low intensity aerobic work, first of all, like everything you do is just going to cost you more. So your heart rate's going to jump more. Like that march up the hill is going to get you worse. Like, and then on the back end of that, your aerobic system is your recovery system. So if you don't have that foundation built, you just won't recover like you should, and you won't have the ability to go from day to day to day to day because you just won't have the juice to do it. First of all, you'll burn through all of your carbs way faster than you should in your body. And then once you're out there, it's tough to replace them. And then
Yeah.
also, you're just not recovering because you're not getting nutrients to your muscles and everything the way that you should because your aerobic system handles that. And if you
Yeah.
don't have one, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, because like you never get the greatest sleep in the woods. Or sometimes you do, but a lot of times you're on the ground. You're not getting your normal food. You're not having and so like a little resiliency is huge. And that that raising that base, with that low intensity type work makes it higher. Brings the base higher, so you don't jump way up to do the things you need.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you're going to be underslept. You're going to be in a caloric deficit. You're just not going to eat to keep up with the demands of what you're doing. And so you have to have everything else taken care of. Otherwise, the cost is going to be too high, and it won't recover. You know.
I've had the caloric deficit in me go hand in hand for this. So I got all these food allergies and things. So
Oh, you told me about
to,
that before.
to take food out is a thing. And I generally just kind of have gotten to the point where I do my best and then I'll probably still lose a little weight and just whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like I have a lot to give anyways, but what the big change though that I've noticed is my brother and sister-in-law just got a freeze dryer,
Oh,
like
beautiful.
like a legit freeze dryer. So they heated me up food the other day that they just got it. So they're truly freeze drying everything right now. But I'm seeing that I'm like, man, because the freeze dried meals that I buy from a store, they're like expensive, of course, because
Yeah.
they're gluten free and everything, and they taste like ass. Like they truly, after a while, I smell like the food. My poop smells like the food that I'm eating. It's this
It
smell,
just
right?
emanates, man.
I can't eat. I've had it where I'm starving. I'm like, I just won't eat it. I'd rather just starve on this mountain than eat that gross stuff. So I'm gonna try the freeze dried thing and see if I can
Dude, it's funny that you were saying that because I thought I was just talking with a friend the other day. I was like, I think I might freeze dry all my meals to go up to the Northwest
Yeah.
Territories because they'll save you money too, right? Like
Oh
those
yeah.
things are expensive, dude.
Yeah, that's I'm pushing. I call them Jimmy bucks, but whenever I get like some extra cash in, my Jimmy bucks funds gets a little bigger, and that's that might be what I spend my next whatever that is on, because like I had it and I'm like, dude, this is legitimately rehydrated, and I would have thought you just cooked it, like because she made it. My sister in law made it, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, a couple other questions before we end this podcast. You know, where do you see hunters lacking when it comes to what are we not doing very well as a group of people?
I mean, honestly, training consistently year
Yeah.
round is one of the things that is a big failure of hunters. And until they, I think they need the pressure of a big hunt, and then they start too late. And they're like, "Well, I'll get ready in the spring." And it's like things take time. Fitness happens in layers, and once you build it, then you have to maintain it. It's like a thing that never stops. Like it's just becomes part of what you do. And I mean, not just for hunting, but for the best long-term outcomes for your life. Like I think that inconsistency is one of the biggest things. And then the other thing is too much high intensity work too fast, and it creates that situation that you were talking about, where like you go out on day one and you feel like an animal and you can kick ass, and then by the end day two is like you're spent because you didn't build the system. All you did was train what it would be in nerd terms, your anaerobic glycolytic system. You overtrained that system. So all you do is burn carbs really, 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 really well. And you fatigue the shit out of yourself. And you don't have any gas on the other side of that. And so a lot of hunting programs are designed because you get the emotional high from it, right? You get a big dopamine hit from going and doing something hard. But there's two things that happen. It's like, first of all, it's not sustainable. And so you can't be consistent with it. You can't train consistently that way. It's just not going to work. And then second of all, it doesn't give you the raw materials that you need to persist and keep going when you're hunting. So it's consistency, and then not doing enough low intensity aerobic training and doing way, way, way too much high intensity training.
I'm about to do some low intensity training today, by the way.
Good. Good,
It's
good, good.
boring, but it's got to be done.
It's part of your life. It's
It's part of
boring.
my life. It's part of the deal. All right, last question for you. It is, like I said, end of January. Usually the next kind of big hunt people have planned, or maybe bear hunting in the spring. So this is kind of like an off season. I don't call it the summer off season because I feel like that's bikini season and I got to stay in bikini shape. It's kind of motivating, but
Absolutely.
you know, but winter months, man, like this is the time. This is what's your focus like this kind of span of time in the year?
Yeah, so this is, I mean, in Human Predator Packmule, this is where we're building strength endurance, our base of strength endurance and our base of aerobic capacity. So we're doing, that's mostly what our work is right now. So we do something called eustress training right now. We'll do some high intensity continuous training, which is another way to increase strength endurance. And we're doing tempo strength training, which is some of the most miserable shit you could ever do in your life.
It is.
But it builds your slow twitch muscle fibers. So we're doing a lot of that, and we're doing a lot of low to moderate intensity aerobic work to just build the foundation for the rest of the year of all the things that we talked about, so we can get to more specific hunting type stuff, but also so we really have the recovery system built first, so that when we get to the high intensity stuff, we can actually train it and recover from it, and we have the foundation laid so that when we start marching into the woods in August and September, we can go for days and we don't burn out.
Lovely. Yeah, I'm doing it right now. I did eustress yesterday.
Yeah.
Eustress? Yeah, I said that right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird thing. It's kind of a weird type of working out that I was not used to when we started doing it, but I've grown to like it. I've grown to like it all. I look forward to it, even though it, like you said, some of it really sucks. Honestly, the low intensity stuff is sometimes the hardest for me because it's just like looking around, just doing something where you're not like getting after it real hard.
Yeah, and then you have to think about what kind of hard is it, right? Where it's like people like the I just brutalize myself hard. But that's the maintaining the mental place that allows you to go and do zone 1 and zone 2 work is just as hard for some people. You just have to
Yeah.
choose what kind of hard you're going to do. The productive hard or the hard that gives you the short-term feeling that doesn't really give you what you need long-term.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Well, I appreciate you, running through, like I said, for everybody listening, I've done it. I'm 2 years in, so I'm not just saying this. A huge fan, definitely worth checking out. It's geared towards hunters. It's very doable. It's the time commitment is not crazy. It's not like you're spending hours in the gym. You do spend some time, and you'll spend hours in a week for sure. But like I said, if I'm following the program, I'm not getting hurt. And from the exercising and not getting hurt kind of in my daily life, doing the weird stuff that, you end up doing in the woods. So I appreciate you, Todd, coming on and the work that you're doing for hunters all over the place. And so, for people who want to check you out and follow along and, maybe, get involved, how can they do that?
Yeah, so I mean, we have an Instagram account which is at Human Predator Packmule. Our website is humanpredatorpackmule.com. You can go there and check out the three different types of programs that we offer. And you can also get our most popular guide, which we give away for free, which is 5 biggest backcountry training mistakes. And if you just go in and read that and don't do the things that I tell you not to do, that'll be a really great place to start. So,
oh man, yeah, I appreciate that, and yeah, go check Human Predator Packmule out. Give Todd a follow, and join us next week. We're looking forward to it.
thanks, James. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks.